On the January 14th episode of Monday Night Raw, during the moment of Bliss segment with Alexa Bliss, we had an opportunity to finally see what the women's tag belts are going to look like and where it's going to actually be debuted on the champions, or whoever wins them. Instead of it being at the Royal Rumble, like I would have liked, it's actually going to be at the Elimination Chamber, when 3 SmackDown teams and 3 Raw teams will be going head to head to see who's going to win the title for their particular brand, which I think is pretty smart. It actually does give both brands something to fight for, and I think that is pretty smart. But I do have a bit of an issue for it to be on Elimination Chamber, because in my opinion it kind of pushed it aside. But people are like, well, it'll give it a little bit more of an inch, it'll give them something to fight for. But it's not really so much the title itself that would give it meaning and give it something to fight for. It's the design. Now, I saw a lot of positive feedback when it came to these titles. A lot of people were kind of gushing about how great they looked. They were so happy that WWE is finally taking the women's titles, the women's tag division seriously, and they're actually going to have this happen. And I am all for that 100%. But I'm just going to be honest here. I hate this design, and it's not so much the fact that it's butt ugly. It's just the fact that it's so arbitrary, so generic, and just so bland. It doesn't look special at all. It just looks like a default. Like it looks like when you turn on your computer and you type a letter, it just looks like those letters in default mode. And that's how I take it. It just seems like there was no love put into them at all. If you go online, and just before these belts came out, if you look at how creative the fans were with their WWE 2K19 Create a Championship, it's either 2K19 or whatever 2K it was, they were able to recreate or create their own women's tag belts that just looked amazing. I'm going to put one up here, and I want you to take a look at that belt, and then I'm going to switch back to the other one, and I want you guys to see which ones do you think is better. Which title do you think looks better, the one that they picked or the one that the fans made? In my opinion, I picked the fan made one, because if you look at it, it's kind of somewhat of a, it's not a carbon copy, but it's somewhat of a carbon copy when you see the men's tag team championships. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, it looks leaps and bounds better than that. This design is not ugly, guys. It's not. I will admit they picked the wrong choice of metal for the first Raw tag team belts. They picked a darker gold instead of a white gold. I think they picked gold with a red background, and it just didn't look right. Gold or bronze, but it just didn't look right. So they picked a white gold in a new design, and it actually looks a little bit more regal. So it's just a big metal clash. With the SmackDown championships, it looks good. You don't hear a lot of people complaining about it. A lot of people are saying how much the silver complements the blue. It looks good. It makes it look like an actual championship, and it makes whoever wins it feel like a champion. For me, it's the plate design. The fact that they chose Spartans, I think, was an excellent choice, because for those that actually do think of any ancient Greece warrior, you would think of a Spartan. Or if you think of God of War, you would think of Kratos, and you also think of a Spartan, and also you would think of 300, which is full of Spartans. But I digress. The thing is that when you think of a Spartan, you think of power. You think of power, you think of strength. And that's what these belts should represent to whoever holds them. And I think that was a great design choice for both belts. Now, looking at the fan-made, it looked like it's probably either an Amazon or Artemis that's actually shooting from both sides. I could be wrong here, but this is just a fan-made belt, and this looks leaps and bounds better than the choice that was made. It's just words. It's just generic words. It's just nothing that makes these belts look special. Now, for me, I am an old school retro type of chick, and I am a huge fan of history. And that's why I like the classic WWF 1980s design for the women's tag, because of how much history is behind it. And it's a shame that the division didn't continue, and it just kind of stopped after a certain time. But it would have meant a lot more if they had that classic design made in this generation, but still kept the meaning behind that belt. If they took that design and put it into a new skin, it probably would have looked very nice. But they chose that. I'm sorry, it's just words, guys. It doesn't show anything special. It just makes women on an equal plane. And no woman is on an equal plane. Every woman is different. Every woman has a different skill. Every woman is set apart from the rest. And that's what these belts should make them feel. Not all on the same playing field, like in every single freaking storyline they have these women in, they're friends or something. But the point is, and I'm not getting into that, as a whole nother video in itself. But the point is that it should make each woman that have these belts feel special. Not like everybody else. But let's be honest. People have been thirsty for a women's tag for a very long time. And I would not be shocked that these women's superstars are thirsty for these belts. So anything will do. That's like being on a desert island and not eating for like 2 months. A rat would look good for you. Seriously. So I don't really think they care. But for me, as a fan, I really wish that these belts would look special. And seeing how you have a fan-made design that looks amazing and leaps and bounds better than what they picked, it makes me wish they kind of looked at the fans' design and maybe kind of copied that and made that the actual belt. Because with what they've done is they've done so much to make this, to kind of exclaim like every 5 seconds about the women's revolution and what they're doing to change the women's division and acting like they care. Don't you think they should have cared with the belts? That's just me. I think every woman should feel different from the rest because every woman is different. They're not on the same level. So when you actually do have tag belts that are finally making their debut, you want to make these women above the rest. So make your title above the rest.